You're watching Seattle Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. I am your fearless leader, Tyler Jones, here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, I will explain why the Seattle Seahawks will shock the NFL in 2025. I got 5 reasons why. We'll go over them in just a matter of moments. Before we do, folks, I need your help. We're closing in on 67,500 subscribers of the channel, less than 50 away from reaching that next milestone for daily news and rumors, live shows, not just once, twice, no, 3 times a week here on the channel. You got to be subscribed. We're about to start our Madden Sim season here in the next couple of days. We also are bringing you breaking news, Q-Day mailbags, and more. The most interactive Seahawks channel on YouTube is Seattle Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/SeahawksTV, and we'll get started with today's show. Nobody knows this, folks. We have continued to see the Seahawks disrespected amongst the mainstream media out there. And I have been sitting here all offseason long as your humble, fearless leader, telling you that I believe that the Seahawks team, even with everything they went through, of all these changes, moving on from Geno Smith, DK, Tyler Lockett, Draymond Jones, that they were going to be okay, that this was not going to be a rebuild, that this was going to be a reload. And when I said that initially, I had a lot of people calling me crazy. But now we fast forward to seeing how this offseason's unfolded, and I think most people have come around to agreeing with me that this team's going to be A-okay. But those outside of the 12's realm have not quite bought in just yet. According to BetMGM right now, the Seahawks over-under win total is about 8.5. And their betting insiders, the so-called experts, are saying, bet the under on 8.5. The Seahawks can't get 8.5 wins. And I think that's just lunacy. I think this team is going to be really good this year. I honestly believe that. And here's why. Let's start with the defense. I think this is the best defense the Seattle Seahawks have had in years. This is a lethal group. I know some people are saying, is this the return of the Legion of Boom? And I'm not calling for a return of the Legion of Boom. That was a unique era that should be left alone. These guys need to start their own thing. And when I go up and down the roster, it's fantastic. You go to the D-line, Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, Jaron Reed. I mean, that's the best defensive line we've seen in a long time. And they finally have the ability that they didn't have a couple of years ago in stopping the run. You go to the linebackers, and you got some serious depth there. We're talking DeMarcus Lawrence coming in. And even if DeMarcus Lawrence gets banged up, and we've seen him have some injury problems over the years, you got other guys behind him. We'll talk about some of those other guys in a moment. Ernest Jones coming off a very good season last year, just starting to enter his prime years. Tyrese Knight was a solid rookie last year. I think he'll build upon what he did last year. And then you look at the others. Uchenna Nwosu is back, and he's healthy. But even if he's not healthy, I got Derek Hall and Boye Mafe, who have each at one point led this team in sacks, and they're sitting behind DeMarcus Lawrence and Uchenna Nwosu. You're going 4 deep at your outside linebacker edge rusher spot. You're in really, really good shape. And then I go to the corner room. Devon Witherspoon is turning into one of the best nickel corners in the entire league. Rick Wallen, when he decides that he actually wants to tackle, he's a pretty solid corner in this league. Josh Jobe, I do have some questions about, but there might be help coming along the way to at least provide some depth. That appears to be the weakest situation among this defense. And then the safeties. You have finally the ability to play 3 safeties, which is what Mike McDonald has been wanting to do with the Pro Bowler and Julian Love. Kobe Bryant, who had a fantastic second half of the season, stepping into that starting role last year. And then Nick Emanwari, who I had a first-round grade on. I can't wait to see what they do, the creative opportunities that he allows in this defense. Overall, there's not much weakness to point to with this defense. It looks pretty complete. Sure, you might want some more help at corner, Maybe you could use some more depth at inside linebacker, but it's never going to be perfect with the way the salary cap is structured. And not to mention, you got some real dogs on this defense. You got some guys with some bark that want to go eat, that are hungry. These are guys that you can go to war with. I mean, I get excited about what these individuals are going to bring to the table. And these are guys that you sit there and you say to yourselves, yeah, they're going to fight for each other. And you can't say that about a whole lot of defenses in the NFL. And Mike McDonald, more on him coming up later. He's the right leader for this type of defense, too. Do you believe in the Seahawks this season? Are they legit? Are they a serious football team in 2025? It's our pinned comment today. Weigh in, let us know. Type B for believe, D for don't. Chime in the comments section. Tell me what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose two or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points, maybe it's rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, home runs in baseball. Cash in on the basketball playoffs with Prize Picks. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your Prize Picks lineup, whether it's points, rebounds, assists. Take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. Turn your playoff hot takes into tickets to basketball's championship series. Starting with the play-in round, every lineup you make on Prize Picks will enter you into the Takes Two Tickets sweepstakes, which could get you and a +1 a VIP trip to the ship. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. I'm looking ahead to the start of the football season on Prize Picks. I got Sam Darnold to have more than 3,474.5 passing yards. Also going with Patrick Mahomes to have more than 3,924.5 passing yards. If I put $20 down, both these hit, that turns into $60 on Prize Picks. Check out Prize Picks today. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, run your game. Number 2 on why Seattle will shock the NFL this season. I think the offensive line has greatly improved. For starters, the offensive line should be improved just simply by the fact that, in theory, barring any setbacks, Abraham Lucas is good to go from the start of the season. And you didn't get him till well late into the year last year. So that's box number 1. Then you add Gray Zabel to the mix, your first-round pick, who should be an instant impact starter. Olu was really solid in the second half of last season, and I think he's going to continue to develop. Charles Cross was one of the best left tackles in football last year, and I think he's well on his way to becoming an all-pro caliber left tackle. Now I just got to figure out the right guard spot, whether it's Bradford, Haynes, Lamea. Maybe they go shopping and look around in free agency or make a trade, but either way, the offensive line was the biggest thing holding this team back. The offensive line is why they didn't make the playoffs last year. I think they've taken steps in the right direction. And one thing I'm watching for in particular is Gray Zabel. Coming over from North Dakota State, this is somebody that you put at that left guard spot. He's going to bring impressive mobility and pad level. He moves laterally to get rushers. He's got that firm and stiff punch that he brings to the table. He's willing to work his hips through contact. Hips don't lie. Does have the below-average arm length, but I'm not worried about that when you're playing guard as opposed to the tackle spot. And one thing I think about, too, as we showed you that depth chart earlier, you put Zabel and Cross side by side. That left side of the offensive line is going to be extremely strong. It's going to be great. I think that most of your run plays, you're going to be scheming to go to the left, to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right. That's what you're going to be doing, is going to the left with Zabel and Cross there. I think that you are going to have a significant advantage and that those two will be a match made in heaven working together. Number 3, I think Sam Darnold's going to shine. I've been a fan of Sam Darnold since he was at the University of Southern California. I liked him coming out. And he was a victim of bad circumstances. I do not hold it against him of what happened when he played for the lowly New York Jets and the Carolina Panthers. Those were terrible coaching staffs. He had no talent around him. He was set up to fail, and he did fail. Goes to the 49ers as the backup behind Purdy, did a good job. Then this past season in Minnesota, didn't have the best offensive line by any stretch of the imagination. And yet he still was a Pro Bowler, most improved player in the league, threw up 35 touchdowns. This is what some people don't want to admit with Sam Darnold. That's a fact, folks, is that the version that we saw of Sam Darnold in 2024, that was the real Sam Darnold the entire time, okay? Now, I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to throw for 35 touchdowns again next season. He doesn't have Justin Jefferson to get the ball to, and Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. The situation's a little worse than what he played with last year. But I think he can be a franchise quarterback. And I think he is the right guy for this moment. You think about where Seattle found themselves, okay? You got a better, younger, cheaper quarterback than Geno Smith. You were picking at, 18th in the draft, and I wasn't high on Jaxson Dart, and almost everybody wasn't high on Shedeur Sanders, as it turns out. So that's a better option than anyone you could have drafted. There was no real big quarterbacks in the trade market. We knew they had discussions. They wanted to talk to Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers is closer to AARP than he is playing college football these days. You found the right guy. And I think Sam's going to do a very good job and be more than adequate for this team and put up some good results. What's your confidence level in Sam Darnold? Scale it for me 1 through 10. How you feeling about the new Seahawks starting quarterback in 2025? Get in that comment section and let us know. Number 4, Mike McDonald. Remember that guy? Yeah. He's entering his second year as the Seattle Seahawks head coach. And I have been very impressed with Mike McDonald, with how he's managed things. And it's so fascinating to think about when you have these guys that go from coordinators to head coaches. A lot of times we see that somebody can be a good coordinator, but they're not made to be a good head coach. The example I always point to is Norv Turner. Norv Turner is one of the greatest offensive minds this league has ever seen. But every time he had the chance to be a head coach, he failed because he wasn't meant to be a head coach. Mike McDonald, his transition from being D coordinator and calling the defense to leading the entire team, in addition to calling the defense, was about as seamless a transition as you could have asked for in his first year. Mike McDonald, in 2024, led the Hawks to a 10-7 record. That's the most wins they've had in quite some time. They finished tied for first in the NFC West with the tiebreaker going to the LA Rams for the division title. And he's still really young as well, the second youngest coach in the NFL at 37. And if you need an endorsement for Mike McDonald, how about none other than the man he replaced, Pete Carroll, the new Las Vegas Raiders head coach, was on Seattle Sports Radio within the last couple of days and was asked about his successor, who took his job. He said, Mike did a great job. It's so hard to take over a franchise, particularly one like we had. One had so much flavor to it and all that, and he did a great job. Mike Mack's brilliant. He's been called the Sean McVay of defense. And one thing I like about Mike, too, is the balance he brings to the table. At 37 years of age, you always kind of wonder with these head coaches, especially the young guys. Are they going to be more of your friend or your coach? Are they willing to hold guys accountable? And from what I've seen already from Mike McDonald is that this is somebody that is going to get along with his players because you're dealing with grown men. This isn't college football, right? You can't be barking and yelling at them too much because they'll tune you out and they'll ignore you. But you had to get their attention as well. And from what we saw from Mike Mack last year, he had that right balance. And for a defensive guy, he knows offense really well, too. That's one thing that impressed me, is he's still very involved in the offensive game plan. And he saw what wasn't working with Ryan Grubb this past season, and he's the one that made the call that said, we got to do something different, get rid of Ryan and go get Clint Kubiak. So I'm a believer Mike Mack is the right man for the job, and this defense under Mike Mack is going to really take off this year. What will be the Seahawks' record in year 2 for Mike McDonald in Seattle? I gave you my record prediction last week. I said 11-6. What's the record you think the Seahawks will have? Chime in the comment section. Let us know what that is. Number 5. It's all about JSN. Jaxon Smith-Njigba. DK's gone. Tyler Lockett's gone. Now it's JSN's turn to take the mantle. JSN was really, really good in his second year in Seattle, leading the Seahawks in receiving catches, receiving yards, and touchdowns. He was named to his first Pro Bowl. JSN took a big step forward. But I think there's another step forward that JSN is going to take, as now he is, without question, the focal point of this offense. Last year, he was kind of sharing things with DK Metcalf and still trying to get Tyler Lockett involved and all that. There's no debate. Option number 1, every passing tree, every passing route, you're trying to get the ball to JSN. And you think about what he did last year. The jump that he took from 2023 was significant in every single way. And there's still room, I think, for that to go even further from here, especially with him being now that number 1 guy. That there's more pressure there, certainly. But there's an understanding with Clint Kubiak and with Sam Darnold that the offense runs through JSN in that sense, the passing game. And he's just getting started. This is only the beginning. He hasn't even come close to touching his prime yet, folks. I can't wait, and I think it's going to be a crucial part of the Seahawks' success is how good JSN plays. For more Seahawks coverage, all you got to do is subscribe to the channel. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV for the latest happenings on your favorite team each and every day. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.